welcome to the Collingwood Rant. This is, what is it, round 8? I don't know. I'm
No.
Sly.
And I'm outlier spook.
What were you, outlier?
Outlier. It's an outlier. Everything was an outlier last week.
Oh, yeah, the fucking Drac Crisp comment. Okay. So we got smashed by West Coast.
That is a shock.
Not just smashed, but like embarrassed and humiliated.
I think embarrassed is a very, very, very good word in this.
And it's great that, we kicked 4-2 in the first quarter and then we kicked 2-7 for the rest of the game.
Did you see that coming? Did you send text to your mate saying that's it? Yeah. We've scored the first quarter as usual. We'll taper off from there.
We're becoming a cliche because people are sending me that sort of stuff that never used to send me that stuff. They would have been optimistic. Lost Pendlebury in the warm-up.
That's a newie. Is it a newie? I think we've done that before. I think it was his. Did he say in his interview it was his last kick of the warm-up? He must have known. Prior.
And the great thing, it's not a small injury. It's like he's going to miss 4 games. So,
I mean, seriously. I mean, how many blokes go out for 4 weeks just kicking a footy
before the game begins?
Just have a bit of a quiet kick. Let me just put this through. Oh, there it goes. Just off the bone. It's gone.
And
who brought out the hard sharing today?
I don't know. Is it meant to be hot in WA? You think you shouldn't be?
No, isn't it pretty much
feeling tightness?
Is there some sort of contract that states that every time we play it must rain? Except for that game, I think it was dry, wasn't it? But
yeah,
it's an amazing amount of rain that's happening around. I suppose we don't see the same quantity of games interstate than we're doing in this outlier year. But it just seems to rain everywhere. It's incredible. Anyway, why digress?
I don't know. It's probably a good idea. So Pendlebury goes out. Now, let me throw it to you. If your captain and midfielder, premier midfielder goes out, who would you bring in?
Probably a 2-gamer who's a forward. Wouldn't you do that?
He'd definitely be the one I'd bring in too.
You wouldn't bring that side bloke in because he's next to useless.
Oh, Buckley must hate him.
I think the whole world does, except the supporter base. We seem to think he's all right and got some capabilities, but what will we know?
So for a couple of weeks, Buckley made some brave selections, brought in some young guys, stuff like that. You have a 6'2" midfielder go out. I don't know why you decide to bring a small forward in. That just does not make any sense to me whatsoever.
Nope.
We had Cameron come in for Coxie, or not for Coxie, but playing that Cox role. And otherwise, I don't know. For me, I was real, and Sharon Burke came in. You had 4 players missing from our top 6, which are Howe, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, and DeGoey.
Mm-hmm.
As it is, I think we have a pretty vulnerable 15 to 22 players.
Where's your evidence of this?
When I see possessions of less than 10 and guys like Noble and that getting games, and no offense to Noble, but you're bringing Josh Thomas back also.
Yeah, it was a big ask. I think we're all confident, which makes it harder, except for obviously you, because you know everything.
I do. But I was just going to say,
you should be coaching them.
I should be coaching. But you lose those. You don't have those 4 players in. If you have those 4 players in, like I said, our bottom 5, 6, 7 players, I think, still pretty vulnerable. You now have those 4 players out, which makes your bottom 12 to 22 pretty vulnerable. Atu had 2 possessions.
Yeah, name them.
I can't.
You can't count the warm-up, though, can you?
No. Dacos had 7. Wills and Thomas had 11. And you have guys like Elliott had 10. Grundy had 10. So you're not getting great returns, and you're not going to compete. I mean, the one thing I think with West Coast too is they look like physically like a lot more competitive than us. We had a lot of small, thin, scraggly guys they almost like were shying away from contact.
Oh, definitely. I think as I made a comment to someone in texting, it was simply a case of boys against men in every stretch of the word. They were physically intimidating, and we sort of pulled back into our shells. Or I don't know, maybe there's Maybe there's some secret tactic to the whole game that they're saving themselves for the next 3 weeks or something. Who knows?
The only thing I think about is, the Geelong game was pretty bruising, but were they carrying soreness? Over from that, I don't know. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, this side's unravelling and people are still thinking we're premiership favourites. There's just way too many players who are not bringing anything of any great merit or value to the side. And I'm going to go through a few players with you. Jaden Stevenson.
Yeah, I remember him. He used to be good.
Okay, well, that pretty much sums it up. What's with Stevenson? I thought he would have evolved into a pretty good midfielder. He's not really playing midfield. He's sort of playing wing halfback, it looks like. Hard to tell on television. But he's virtually anonymous. He struggles to impact the contest. He struggles to have any real influence. And it actually reminds me a lot of the way he started last year when Buckley played him down back. So I don't know what's going on.
He has got the glandular fever excuse, and it's also technically probably second-year blues that most players. But he didn't really play last year, so I'm giving him some slack. But yeah, he's been. Bet with him. I've expected a lot more. From what he showed year one, that was a phenomenal debut. He was clearly a worthy winner of the Rising Star that year. He looked like the world was at his feet, and then he stopped. Now he's had obviously 28 rafts of excuses, but I probably would have thought roughly round about now he should have been showcasing his wares. Like, we've had flashes of brilliance. He was the one quarter wonder there for a few games, but he's clearly got talent.
Last year when he was thrown back forward, that's when he started to look good again. And this year when he came back and he was playing forward, that's the few times he looked good. So I don't know, is he really just maybe a one-position player? Maybe we're expecting too much of him. Maybe he doesn't have the capacity to become a midfielder or anything else.
Frame at the moment either. He's just going to be ragdolled everywhere. Oh, he's got pace though. Yeah. Anyway,
Matt Scharenberg.
Yeah, but how many years has it been?
I don't know, but I want Scharenberg to succeed. But geez, he showed very little intensity though. And
he's not alone though on that game.
No, but I don't know. You seen the movie Cinderella Man, and there's this line about Jim Braddock. Whatever he was going to do in boxing, he's probably done it. And I don't know, I'm a bit worried with Scharenberg. I just hope they keep playing him we see, but...
there may not be any options.
He loped around like somebody who might have been very conscious of keeping his body intact. He's just had the unluckiest run of injuries going from his feet to his knees. Meant to get him knocked out by Greenwood last year, and then doing his ribs a couple of weeks ago.
Better. Yeah, ribs. Yeah. He's had it. I think he had a fractured hairline there for a while.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's just become a little bit shy of physical contact.
Scheinberg.
Maybe that's his name. Josh Thomas, I don't know. I thought he did a few little things, but,
And he had a couple of complete howlers, though. That grubby little kick. I don't know what he was thinking with that. Surely it wasn't a missed kick, but, it was terrible.
I don't
know. And then, look, I'm not even really in the to persist basket with him. I don't think we've missed him, and not as much as he misses the ball.
Callum Brown? I don't know why he's still playing at the moment. I really don't. I like him, but I don't think he should be in the team.
No, it's not doing him any favours. I think he needs to go back and find touch. And look, I'd say probably no doubt that he rolled his ankle and he came back on. That's probably Collingwood for 28 weeks on the sidelines with myxomatosis or something he'll get from a errant blade of grass. But I think he'll definitely have to stay down this week and for a few weeks probably.
Rupert Wills.
I know you're a big fan, but I don't think I'm seeing him in the same light as you. I'd be rolling the side dice now, I think.
Like I said, I'd still be playing both. I mean, the thing I'm surprised with Will is, like, I read people saying he's chronically fumbly, and I know he is fumbly on occasion. I don't think he's chronically fumbly. I think he suffers from synclairitis, which is the moment he fumbles a few times, then people go, that's all he does.
Yeah.
And it's like
he's not
the anti-side bottom.
when he came out, not he came out, when he started playing last year consistently, you could clearly see there was visible evidence when you watch games that he was impacting on the contest, and he's probably doing it this year as well. But it's not obvious, if you know what I mean. It's just flashes. He's not really bursting or hitting packs hard. Like, he clearly stood out last year doing this type of inside work, but now it just seems to be a little bit more of digging and handballing. It just doesn't seem the same beast that I was getting a bit
but
of
I
hope
think
for.
part of that is, and we'll get to the next guy on my list, part of that is the midfield dysfunction. It's just not working. And they're relying on...
Where's your proof of that?
I don't know, maybe the scoreline. Since, including last year, and this is why I say this, I believe, is systemic of greater problems than just having a bad game, an outlier.
Outlier,
midfield didn't work.
That's Latin for shit, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be. It's... The midfield's not working. Now, Grundy's another one. I've never seen anyone, so conscious of his rucking opponent. He had to check where Nick Nat was at every single contest. Like, hey, there he is. Now I can run at it. And B, for a guy that, they're saying is really intelligent and all that, he really shows a lack of adaptability at ruck contests. It's like, hey, I'm going to try and wrestle you out of this one. That didn't work. You know what I think I'll do the next time? I think I'm going to try and wrestle you out of this one again. And surely he should be looking at ways when he's not having that dominant influence, or where opposition ruck like Andrew Phillips from Essendon and negating him. Surely Grundy should be going, all right, I'm not doing what I want to do this game using this tactic. I now need to go and use another tactic. And he just doesn't seem to change. He really had very much... ineffectual game. And I know he's not going to be best on ground every game, and he is facing a really good ruckman, but geez, he really looked conscious of contests, and he really looked like he was struggling.
Yeah, and look, you don't want to make too many excuses, but look, I think he's had a probably average year. You wonder how much some of this stuff is mentally affecting some of these guys. Not everyone's going to be the old hard as nails approach and sit there and happily watch Netflix for 38 hours a week and then go kick a footy around. There must be some that are feeling the pinch, and I'm wondering whether that's starting to manifest a little bit as well. They do come across as a bit of a bunch of sensitive types, not being nasty in that respect, but they're obviously all chummy. I don't know what the phrase is for it these days without offending anyone, but they're obviously very new age and sensitive. That maybe this does have more of an impact in the way that we'd project ourselves into that situation.
Well, it could be. West Coast players, I'm assuming, get to go home, and their form was terrible on the road. Since they've been back at home, they've looked a dominant force.
Geez, I hope the grand finals played over there then.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not against Arsenal. I don't think we'll get anywhere near it.
No.
I think at the moment there's just, and I've put this elsewhere. If you look at, and you said this last year, if you look at the 2018 grand final, who was improved from that side? And probably the only two guys you would say have improved are Grundy and Maynard. And if you looked at it and said, who has deteriorated? Well, that's a big list. You go from Stevenson to Cox to Josh Thomas to Hoskin Elliott to Tom Phillips. I'd even throw Sidebottom in there in terms of his output over the last 18 months. There are a number of guys who really have struggled or been very spasmodic. And then you look at the injuries, like you've lost Howard from that side, you've lost the Goey from that side, you've lost Sidebottom for 4 weeks from that side, now you're going to lose Pendlebury from that side. And who are the replacements? Who are the replacements coming in?
Yeah, not of the same ilk or quality.
And that's the thing is, I think the 2018, we surprised a lot of people. You had Stevenson, who came out of nowhere, had a great year. It was the Goey's breakout year. Cox came out, surprised people. Mychek was, a surprise. And they developed a synergy within that side that helped them function. And in the last 18 months, they've lost that. And Buckley and the coaching staff, they've shuffled things around. but I'm just not seeing that same cohesiveness
No.
and fluency. And the problem now is, you drop, or, you go to look at Sunday's game, you drop Pendlebury, who's played 300 games, and you bring the guy who's played 2 games. Even if you went to the option of Sire, he's played, 18 games or something, maybe? So there's not a lot coming up. And people are sort of going, oh, we need to bring the youth in. And, okay, great. You want to play him, then you're going to see a lot more results like Sunday, because you don't have a Matt Rowell in there. You don't have a Stevenson down there either. You're going to get guys who are going to be spasmodic, and that's no disrespect to them. That's just when you're a young player. It takes time to develop. You look at Dacos. He's had good games. He's had bad games. Same with Callum Brown. That's usually the route for young players. And I just think we are now at a point where our whole 2020 assault could entirely unravel because of personnel and form. And the other problem, in my opinion, is fucking game plan is terrible.
Yeah,
We start... Well, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just say, my biggest fucking annoyance with that game on the weekend was that in close over handballing, and West Coast just circled and pressured until we turned it over. And we just, the amount of times that we'd handball to someone who was just on the verge of being attacked by the opposition was just absurd. It's like there's just no awareness out there, and they panicked handballs. It just didn't stop. It was just like, you had that free-flowing first quarter, which we always look magnificent inside of that, and then sides are wise to it. As soon as they get in close and they shut us down, we're dead. We have nothing to go back to.
Well, I recall an article going back to, 2007, 2018, which just looked at the way Collingwood had improved, and that sort of compared us to the way Richmond improved, and it was just they started playing a lot more on instinct rather than over-possessing and overthinking. And I think the really amazing thing about football is the moment you have a good season, that becomes the rule for everyone. And you look at 2018 and people go, oh, yeah, grand finals within a kick of winning a flag, great. And everybody thinks that's our standard. And I reckon we were really lucky in 2018 to get that far. The way we're playing is a lot more reminiscent of 2016, 2017, where we were just all over the place and inconsistent. And every now and again it would work. You'd have a game where you just blow someone out of the water, and then you'd have, you'd beat a top 4 side, and then the following week you'd lose to Carlton, who was bottom 4. And there was no consistency in their execution or application. And I actually think it's a crime that they haven't fucking worked this out. How long does this take to get that fluent, not to get the fluency, but just to have some purpose in the way you play? We're not playing with purpose. We're just playing with, I don't know what you'd call it, vacillation. It's like, oh, do we go left? Do we go right? Let's handball. Let's handball it back. I can't get it out. You go to, no, I'm not taking it. And you have all these players in that fucking side, and not enough of them who will take ownership of the ball and say, fuck it, I'm going to go take a run. I mean, people criticize Callum Brown for some of his streakiness. But the one thing I like about Callum Brown is he takes it, and he'll generally not just panic. He'll go, it looks like he's panicking, but he'll actually try and break out of the pack or try and get a bit of distance before disposing of it. I mean, Taylor Adams is another, but there's just no one else in that side who does that, or not enough players. Pendlebury does it when he's there.
I thought Quayner, who was looking like our best, he did it. He looked like the only one that was really willing to take the game on and go for the runs. But anyway, I mean, we were forced wide all the time. I think all our 450 entries just seemed to end up on the flanks. Even if you take a mark there, your degree of converting is ridiculously small. You look at the other end; they were, I think, and it was always going to be a given. Not always, but you always say these things. But naturally, Kennedy and Darling had the fucking games of their lives. And Kennedy, at the ripe old age of 712, was playing like a reinvigorated 20-year-old. And look at the delivery he was getting from their midfield. I mean, it was just delivered clean. They led into space, and you're giving them the opportunity, even though they banged a couple in from some tight angles. Most of the time, they kick him straight out in front and nailing it, except for that one that Darling pooed himself on. Oh, no, he dropped the mark, didn't he? Yeah. But, it was a far cry between the two.
The other thing, though, too, is like when it's coming in fast like that, and, you're kicking from straight in front. You're getting the fucking confidence up. So when you actually do go out wide, you actually have confidence that, oh, yeah, I'll get this on. I've having a good day. To me, a lot of our goals, I shouldn't say a lot of our goals because we only kick a handful, but when we kick goals, it's just often they come from superhuman efforts. And it's like, where's the run gone from this side? Where's the audacity gone? They've totally lost it. And if you go back to last year, they were doing this constantly. They were playing 90 minutes of shit and then 7 minutes of good football. And that's when they were winning games. And you go even to the preliminary final. They played 3 quarters of shit and about 15 minutes to the last quarter.
Yeah.
Where is the consistency? Why is this still happening? And if it's a case of personnel, then you need to work out what's going to work for the team rather than persevere with things that aren't working. I mean, Tom Phillips, really good example. The first season, he was an elite runner. You know, he played wing, was amassing possessions, but he was also doing that because he was like 5th, 6th in line behind Pendlebury and Treloar and Sidebottom and all those sort of guys. Why you've decided to turn him into a half forward, I don't know. How is that helping the team? You know, Callum Brown looked like he was playing a bit more in the middle, but he's been playing as half forward also. You know, you've played Hoskin Elliott further away from goal. Why don't you play these guys? You know, Stevenson's another good example. Why don't you play these guys in the positions that they're going to provide the biggest benefit for the side? I just don't know why they're experimenting when it's clearly not working and then persevering when they have evidence that's not working. And this is why I think they fooled themselves. They deluded themselves a lot last year when they were pulling off those wins against, you know, such mighty powerhouses as St Kilda and Melbourne and Bulldogs, you know, with 7 minutes of football. And I was thinking, oh, well, we've got it. We just need to keep the tempo up, or we need to develop consistency. And Buckley loves saying, oh, we just got to work harder. We've got to work. You know, I don't want to fucking work harder. I want to work smarter. And we don't do that.
Yep. Don't disagree one iota with any of that.
Any thoughts? You know, I mean, everyone's dissected this game. Any thoughts about it? Any further thoughts?
No, well, it's an outlier game. I mean, I think Crispy told us that, and Bucks mentioned it in his press conference. It's an outlier. It's the word of the week. Now, look, there's obviously some winnable games coming up, but you know, you starting now. Look, and it's only one loss, and it's a bad loss, and no one's feeling particularly good about it, and it's easy to start hitting the where's the baby and where's the bathwater stuff. But the next couple of weeks, it's almost like it could potentially gloss over the cracks again because we're up against some average sides, and we'll pull off those wins, as you said, against the nothing ones that, you know, we're probably expected to win.
Over the, I mean, we'll just go straight into next week, which is Fremantle.
Yep.
Fremantle kicked a mighty 2 goals for.
Yeah, did you see any of that game?
No.
It was virtually played in the monsoon.
Oh, well, Geelong still got 6 goals, 12. So, you know, they kicked 3 times Fremantle's score. Sidebottom will come back.
Oh, that'll be enough then. We're back to flag favourites.
Pendlebury's out. So I'm just sort of looking at it from the point of view, they still have a really young side and a really inexperienced side. And you're going to need these guys like Dagos and Brown and whoever else to have great games all the time, which you generally wouldn't expect from young players of that ilk. I don't know what's happening with Sire. I mean, it's really good to read all the internet rumours that, you know, apparently Buckley hates him. There's problems. The Sire will leave if he keeps getting treated like this. I internally don't know why he's not being selected if he's not working hard enough. Apparently he's lazy too, if you listen to the internet.
Yeah, he's apparently still in Melbourne. Couldn't even probably get on the plane. He's doing well in the scratch matches here, though.
Have you seen those scratch matches? Those will just be playing netball.
Well, I think there was a picture which really sort of did annoy me a little bit of the club's Twitter feed, which is so entertaining in itself. Pretty much an hour or so after the loss, they played that scratch game, and West Coast were short of players, and Rantel had to put on a West Coast jumper and played a quarter for them. And our wonderful Twitter feed thought that was a great thing to promote.
Well, you know, I'm saying it's like netball, not because I'm disparaging netball, but just simply because it's just so far removed from what AFL or Australian rules is. You can't get any gauge on form. I mean, we're playing the 9 games in 2 weeks, so you'd think there'd have to be heavy rotations as it is. But I think what they really need to look at is, again, midfield is not working. They're not pressuring. They're not winning the ball. Sai would seem invaluable, in my opinion. I don't know. Even if his form was average, I believe, is essential to that midfield starting to click. Like I said, I'd still be playing Wills there. I'd rather be playing a couple of big guys than a couple of little guys, because you get what happened on Sunday, where we just get outbodied and outsized at the contest.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And then and you can drop some of these players and people go, well, where are you going to play, Wills when Sai's in the middle and all that? Or you're going to play him up forward, he's not going to get much of the ball. It's like, well, the players we have up forward at the moment aren't getting much of the ball. So you only have to replace percentage.
There's not a lot of offensive pressure
disposals
in that forward line. So it wouldn't hurt to have something like that that's going to try and keep the ball locked in.
And also previously, I mean, they seem to really be aware that they're struggling for options because they're throwing so much around in those scratch matches, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
So Sidebottom comes back. What changes would you make? Sire, I would drop Callum Brown. I know they're not going to do it, but he'd be out for me.
Look, I think that elephantitis of the ankle or whatever it is he's going to develop, I think he'll probably pull up sore, and because it was a pretty hefty roll. And I think with a lot of those things that you can do them at the time and the adrenaline gets you up and running, and the old jab, it can be quite painful and sore afterwards. So I think that they'll be resting him regardless. Who do you bring in? I don't know. Who's ready?
They're all best on ground every week.
See, I want to see someone like, even though he's 1,000 years old, Greenwood provides so much anger and hardness. Yeah, that's one thing I think we're lacking across the ball is a couple of hard football players. They all just seem, is soft the wrong word? But nobody that really aggressively imposes themselves on contests and makes the opposition think twice. I'd like to see, someone, I think, Varks does it. He plays angry, and Greenwood was exceptionally good at it. But, geez, he's coming off a knee reco, and he hasn't even played the scratch matches yet, has he?
No, I think he's still a couple of weeks away from...
Well, we obviously put a line through him. Look, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, you can't go hyper tall against Freo if it's dry. lol. They've got a lot of rangy little speedsters. I don't think we can afford to bring Cox in and keep Cameron in the side. I think Cameron did enough to stay in this week, and Kane Corns has written Coxie off, so he might as well just pack up and go back to isolation in America. I think that's probably easy fix. But yeah, who else is there? I think Appleby's scored about 48 goals against the Menanga under 12s, so he's probably
I think
get a call up.
You probably have to drop Atu again.
Oh yeah, yep.
He's a young player. He's not getting enough of it. He's had 5 possession in 2 games. Nathan Murphy is a possibility, but I'd love to see him push Maynard into the middle, which I've been an advocate for quite a while. But geez, yeah.
Has he actually strung more than half a game together any time in the last 5 years?
Isn't that question applicable to anyone at Collingwood?
What about Broomhead? He's a forgotten child. He's been on the list now for 17 seasons. He must be due for a recall. He's been working hard. He's got a lot of long hair, I believe. That must help, like Samson or something.
Oh, you might play him in the middle. Why not? Sorry, up forward. Why not?
He can kick the goalpost. He's good at that.
Oh, geez. The other guy I'd try maybe more on the ball would be Schoenberg. I'd be really interested to see how he does, or how he could do. It's just the way he slowed down. Again, he's coming off a long layoff himself, and he's just getting back in the game. But to me, he's a little bit too slow to play that sort of flanker role, but he's not quite big enough to play that key position role. And I don't know if that speed that he's lost from injuries is gone for good, or if he'll redevelop it. But maybe they need to find a new role for him. He's apparently meant to be an elite reader of the game, so maybe he might make a decent midfielder.
I doubt
but they need to find answers, because that midfield is really struggling, and it's been struggling for a while. And ever since Matthew Lloyd proclaimed that the greatest midfield ever in the history of the game,
on paper,
really, yeah, it's all definitely not on performance. It's really struggled.
Yeah. What about Rance? Would you have a debutant against Freo? I think he might be a chance. He's getting
Rant, Alex Rance from Richmond.
Yeah, no. Rantel, named after the Collingwood Rant. He's
okay,
number
yeah,
one adopted son.
I'll play him all. Fuck, I don't care.
He's got a little bit of pace about him, so look, it might be time to inject a little bit of speed in there. And assuming it's not raining,
you might as well. You might as well introduce him to his first soft tissue injury at Collingwood if he's got a little bit of pace.
Yeah, well, I think Will Kelly said, "Beat mine, mate. Come on, what can you do? Can you shatter your elbow in your debut game? Be out for the year?"
Oh, surely fucking Pendlebury and Kelly are sitting together now, and Pendlebury's just nudging him, going, "I didn't even have to jump up. I just did it in the warm up."
Seriously though, what's that now? That's 3 key injuries in 3 weeks. It's just back to classic Collingwood.
Yeah, DeGoey with the finger.
Will Kelly with the. I mean, you wouldn't say he's obviously top line, but it's a fairly freak injury. And we go out kicking the ball in the warm up. That's where it goes next. I think. Thank Christ we haven't got the banners this year. That'd probably lacerate a few people. The decapitation going through the white crepe paper. That'd be harsh, wouldn't it? Yeah. So I mean, it's back to that point where you're sitting there watching games, going, "Well, who's it going to be this week?" And Moore's due for it. It's
I was thinking about it just now.
So you'll go down, so we can completely wave the flag. But the old confidence has been sapped.
I never had the confidence.
Yeah, I don't know, a little bit. They just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
I think in 2018 there were things that happened in terms of injuries which actually shaped their season and actually helped them. So stuff like Reid getting injured, which meant Myercheck played forward.
Oh, who got injured?
Ben Reid. Apparently he was.
You're not
shock, isn't it? No,
I didn't know that.
So I think there was stuff that happened in 2018 that actually informed their decision making and took control out of their hands, and they benefited the side.
So, like the injuries went away.
It's injuries to different players now, and they're instead of going to lateral alternatives like they did in 2018, like where they went for Myercheck and that, they're just going for Josh Thomas's and
discards.
Recycling the same sort of options. Your tip for when do we play? I don't know when we're playing. When we're playing.
Sunday at 6 p.m-ish or something. Against Freo, it'll be incredibly embarrassing to lose because they are pretty ordinary, I would think. However, though,
you'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
What's his name? Longmire, who's their coach?
Longmuir.
Yeah, Longmuir. He's probably got a lot of intel on us. They're just probably cracking gags about it now. So he's got a bit of inside running, of course. So who knows? Who knows what Collingwood will turn up this week? I think after such an embarrassing, insipid, weak as piss loss like that one was, that they should come back fighting, and they should win comfortably.
Yeah,
should.
You should, yeah.
Until more.
I totally agree.
In a severe bootlasing incident in the locker room, maybe the lockers will fall down like dominoes and take out half the list. That's something I don't think we've done before. But yeah, they should win, I'd say, by a comfortable 5 points, which will probably be all they kick in 3 quarters.
Well, I'm going to go for Fremantle win by 5 points of James H to kick the winner.
Oh, that'd be poetic justice, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Severo Rocker did it to us, so why not?
Yeah, no, everyone has a crack at that. You're probably right. And you'd almost wave the flag then, wouldn't you, if we lose to Freo? How many games have we got left in the season?
We kicked another behind. I don't know, 28. How long's the season? It's 28 games in about 2 more weeks.
Well, they're playing 7. Wasn't there a game a night for the next 33 months or something?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't keep up with any of this anymore. I'm too old.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can blood the youngsters.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's going to, they said, look, no matter which, I think over the next couple of weeks, there's some winnable games, and I think you've going to have to, because of the short turnaround and the fact that we're travelling. Thanks, AFL. Apparently, though, it's our time to learn how hard it is to travel week to week. That we should. I can't remember what I was going to say. What was I saying? I had a point to make.
Traveling. Traveling.
Oh, no,
travel.
I think the high turnaround with that we're going to have to rotate a number of players through this. But you can't just throw wholesale changes in willy-nilly. Some of them have to make some sort of structural sense. Does that make sense? So, look, it's going to be a different side that runs out over the next 3 weeks, but they're winnable games, so hopefully they just do it. I'm not a fan of losing. You don't like losing, do you?
I don't care anymore.
You might as well.
I've spoken to a number of people regarding Sunday's game. There's so many people who switched off at halftime, just going, can't watch this shit. You can see what's coming, and it's an insipid performance. And, you know, on top of like all the injuries that are happening yet again, and the lack of proactivity from the coach's box and all that sort of shit, it's like, oh, where do you think you're going to get? Do you think something is actually going to change this season, which is going to push us to the next level? Because I don't see it.
No, and I think, look, it's a strange old season. Anything can still happen. You know, I did read someone say the other day that and it made a little bit of sense that, you know, if these injuries are happening now and some of these blokes somehow manage to get back before the end of the season, there is a raft of ripe, good quality footballers that are going to come back in, and that could be the difference at the end of the day, because everyone who's flying now could be in the shitter in a couple of weeks for all we know. So it's hard to get a handle on anything. Now, I had a discussion with my brother-in-law about the footy the other day, and you know, I mentioned I thought Port would lose this week because they hadn't really beaten anyone of merit up until the game they played this week. With the answer obviously flying. And he said, who's good at all at the moment? And you think, well, that's a reasonable point. There's no clear standout side. The media are doing their fantastical wanking over whoever won the most this week is flag favourite this week. I think someone put up a side-by-side comparison article that Gary Lyon wrote, probably weeks apart, where I think the article heading on one side was all the reasons why St Kilda won't play finals this year, and then this week he's got them down as a final cert, and they're every chance to win a premiership. And well, that's having it both ways, isn't it? You can't be wrong when you're that involved.
I recall on Footy Classified, Craig Hutchison was posing that Cripps should get out of Carlton because he's not going to play finals there. They're a long way from it. And then 2 weeks later, they were the form team of the competition, apparently, according to Footy Classified. So it just shows. And let me just make special mention of Caroline Wilson, who all I watch of Footy Classified is like those little excerpts that come up on YouTube sometimes. I don't chase them out. But they were talking about the Next Gen Academy players, and she was complaining and saying, oh, well, we've got to put a stop to this because, you know, the established clubs shouldn't have access to these players. They should be going through the draft. It's meant to be equal. And why was she having this rant? Because of Isaac Quaynor. So, again, once it happens at Collingwood, it's a fucking crime. When other clubs are pilfering these academies and doing whatever they're doing, it's fine. But when it's us, hey, it's got to be stopped. It's got to be changed. Bring in some new rules.
That's it. She's good. She's good at stirring the pot. There's one thing I saw on the news too, that I saw that Terry Waters passed away, ex-Collingwood champion, 76 after a battle of cancer. Not a bad old little innings, but you would have liked more. But big veil out there to the Waters family.
Vale Terry Waters. That's it from us for this week.
And that's it from him.
Yeah. We'll see you next week, hopefully with happier news.
Yeah. Go Pies.
Whatever. Go later.
Yeah. Catch.